Thank you, Mr. Rangan, for taking out the time to talk to us. To start with, what I would like to understand is, considering the economic situation around us and also a lot of changes happening from a technology perspective, what are some of the priorities you think that CFOs of today should look at?
So, I mean, the priorities, whether you look at it as a financial institution or as a, manufacturing concern, I think 2-3 things come to my mind very immediately. One is, surely I think the cost is one of the aspects which is very important. I mean, in a financial institution, for example, you have revenue line, you also have a cost line which is coming from various quarters, whether it is the credit cost, whether it is the operating cost. So managing these two is very, very important, because ultimately the balance sheet depends on how these two operate. Second important thing is the risk actually. The risk, particularly in a financial institution vis-a-vis others, comes from various aspects. It is interest rate risk, it are external events causing a certain amount of, you suddenly see a impact on the, reputational sort of a thing also. Everything is interlinked in the sense that any risk arising causes a certain disruption, whether it is raising more funds or the rating agencies will ask for an update on how the things are. So one needs to be really conscious of all these risks to see that you can't control all the risk 100%, but how do you mitigate these risks in a manner that you are able to sort of navigate even in the times when things are very adverse. And the third obviously is governance and reputational risk for a financial institution, because everything depends on faith actually. There is a lot of faith which runs across all the stakeholders, whether it is shareholders or lenders particularly, and government and others. So the governance and ethics are some of the things which transparency and all that is very important from a organization perspective. And in all of this, the CFOs have some role or the other to see that they are able to guide the organization, guide the leadership there to sort of maintain some of these things to ensure a better organizational capability.
Thank you so much for that. I think one other big topic that we see around is artificial intelligence, generative AI, a lot of technology that is being used in the area of finance. So considering, the several years of experience, and you've seen so many technology disruptions happening over your illustrious career. So what is your advice around that? Do people need to be scared of it? Do people need to look at adoption? What are some of your perspectives there?
So clearly, I think artificial intelligence and data mining have played a big role in the financial sort of growth of the country. Largely around, the personal loans, the sort of, the vehicle loans and any sort of these short-term consumer-related loans. There, the artificial intelligence has really done a lot of work. People have been able to sort of find that unique sort of positioning where they could sort of read at what stage of the life cycle of a loan can go into bad, and which combination actually results in a better credit and which combination results in a poor credit. So some of them have been able to decipher it. For us as HDFC, I think obviously the digital transformation has been quite a lot, and the only thing is that in the case of mortgage, you still need to have wet signatures, you still need to meet the guy, still need to sort of take his mortgage. So we have quite a bit of touch with the individuals before a loan is actually getting disbursed or sort of underwritten. So to that extent, I think the mortgage as a product has not been so much disrupted, other than the fact that some of the things like your KYCs, the verification of their tax returns, verification of their identities and those sort of things, those obviously the technologies have really helped in terms of building this thing and to handle volumes. So today we can handle very significant volumes because a lot of these can be handled technologically.
And last but not the least, I think one of the hottest topics is around climate and sustainability, right? So what is your bank doing around it? What is your guidance as somebody who leads such a large financial organization as the finance executive director, in terms of what is the guidance for other budding CFOs in terms of what do they need to look at?
So I think the ESG, the entire part of ESG, environment, social and governance, the entire framework actually has become quite real now. It used to be a topic for discussion about few years back, but now it is a reality which we are seeing. So, as far as at least the industry where we are operating in, these issues are not very large in the sense the environment issues are very limited. There is a little bit of a social, there is a little bit of a governance issue which gets handled. So we are very conscious about it. And in fact, we are the first to adopt the BRSR, this thing, even prior to what SEBI actually asked us to do. So the whole system is now moving towards accountability in terms of external, attestation of the ESG's adoption by the companies and things like that. And as a CFO, I think in terms of the growth, future growth, funding is very important for any organization. And I have seen that every conversation you have with external sort of lenders, I think this stands at the core. So in fact, a lot of our borrowings, the lenders have actually put conditions around ESG adoptions and things like that, much before all this became very important. So I think going forward, every CFO will have to be conscious of this adoption of this into the organization and how well he is able to communicate, articulate. And there are pockets of capital, both in terms of debt as well as equity, which are actually waiting to be sort of deployed in these type of enterprises. So I think it's both a challenge, but it's also an opportunity that one can actually direct their business in such a way that you can make use of these, specific unique positioning which is available to some of the companies.
Thank you, sir. But more importantly, I think congratulations on getting this award. What would be your guidance to the new crop of CFOs in terms of what do they need to practice to get to, the achievements that you've been able to get to?
So I think as a CFO, it's not only the financial numbers. I mean, financial numbers is a basic requirement according to me. He has to be a sort of a guide into the whole. He has to understand the business. He needs to understand. He should be able to sort of guide the board and the management in terms of various decision making. So I would say that gone are the days when CFOs were used to be only financial numbers or turning out balance sheets. It's more about seeing 360 view of the organization, including things like ESG, what you talked about, including things like managing the stakeholders, the shareholders, the lenders. These are very routine jobs, but they need to be done in a very powerful manner. Otherwise, everybody is watching, everybody is seeing the numbers. So numbers is one part of the story, but I think you need to develop a lot of skills around understanding the business and how to direct the business and reduce the risk, which are inherently there in the balance sheets of every company.